All right, let's jump right into a story you might think you know. It all kicks off with a lonely prince living in a, you guessed it, very lonely kingdom.
I mean, he's in a lonely room, in a lonely castle, sitting on a lonely cliff, looking out over a whole lonely kingdom. Yeah, that's a lot of lonely. And trust me, he felt it. But, it wasn't always like this for him.
See, his dad, the king, he was all about adventure. We're talking hunting, fishing, meeting all sorts of interesting people. But his mom, the queen, totally different story. She was not a fan of adventure, and people, they were just a headache to her. For her, a perfect world was just her husband, and her son. That's it.
Then one winter, things took a turn. The king went out hunting in the rain and got super sick. The queen, she was absolutely terrified of losing him, so she did something drastic. She locked down the entire castle. Boom! Just like that, the prince's world got a whole lot smaller. He was trapped.
And as the king got sicker and sicker, you could hear the whispers starting up all over the kingdom. People were getting nervous. The word on the street was, hey, it's time for the prince to step up. And that meant only one thing. He had to get married and become the new king.
Now, the queen, she really did not like the idea of sharing her son with anyone. But, a kingdom needs a king. So she finally caved. But there was a catch. She announced that any princess who wanted to marry the prince had to pass her very special, very secret, royal test to prove she was good enough.
So, what was this top secret test? Well, the queen told everyone that a real princess would be so incredibly delicate that just one little pea under her mattress would keep her up all night. But here's the real secret. The whole thing was rigged. It was designed to be totally impossible to pass. So the very next week, the first princess shows up, and wow, what an entrance. She's riding a pink elephant that's blowing lavender butterflies out of its trunk. Seriously. And she's amazing. She's got this great smile, she's super witty, and the prince is immediately smitten. He's thinking, wow, first try, I got this.
So she spends the night on this massive cloud-like mattress. I mean, it's so tall, she actually needs a ladder to climb into bed. The next morning at breakfast, the queen casually asks, "So, how did you sleep?" And the princess, all bright and happy, says, "Yep, one sentence and she was out." The queen basically had her escorted from the premises. The guards grabbed her, put her back on her elephant, and chased them right out of the kingdom. The queen's plan? It was working like a charm. The very next day, another princess arrives, and she's just as impressive. This one comes in on a camel with 7 humps, and each hump is a different color of the rainbow. Unbelievable, right? And again, the prince is totally dazzled. But you can probably guess what happened. The next morning, same question, same answer. She said she slept wonderfully, and poof, she was gone too. Out she went. And this just kept happening night after night. It was like a parade of princesses. They showed up on ostriches, alligators. I think there was even a hippogriff in there. And every single one of them, kind, charming, brilliant, was kicked out of the castle for failing the queen's impossible test. This wasn't just a few nights. This went on for 100 nights. Think about that. Nearly 100 princesses came to the castle, filled with hope, only to be sent packing the very next day. And the prince, he could only watch this whole disaster unfold. And then another princess arrived, and she was different. She wasn't wearing flashy silks. She had on a simple wool dress. She wasn't riding some crazy exotic animal. She was on a young paint pony. She didn't have all the glitz and glam, but man, she had wit and charm for days. The prince, well, he fell for her, hard and fast. So when she, too, failed the test the next morning, he just snapped. He couldn't take it anymore. He shouted, "Wait! She's the one. She's the only one I want to be my queen. You have to give her the test again." But this princess, she wasn't just charming. She was smart, like really smart. As she got ready for her second chance, she started thinking, why would sleeping well make me fail a test? That makes 0 sense. The wheels started turning. So that night, she decided to do a little investigating. She climbs down that big ladder, musters all her strength, and heaves up the corner of that giant mattress. And what does she find underneath? A single, tiny, green pea. And in that instant, she knew exactly what she had to do. The next morning, it's showtime. The queen asks her the usual question, and the princess puts on an Oscar-worthy performance. She groans and moans. "Oh, to be honest, I've got a kink in my neck and an ache in my back. I'm pretty sure your mattress is worse than the rack."
And oh, she was just getting started. She kept piling on the complaints. "Now I've got a knot in my knee and a mat in my hair. I'm telling you, that mattress is part grizzly bear."
Her performance just got bigger and more dramatic. She claimed she didn't get a wink of sleep. "Now I've got a leg that won't bend and a leg that won't straighten. I think your mattress was designed by Satan." I mean, you can't get more dramatic than that. Finally, the queen just couldn't take any more of this. It was so over the top, she had to believe it. She just yells, "Enough! You've passed the test!" And in just like that, it was all over. So of course, the prince and princess got married pretty quickly after that. And you could say the prince definitely got the better end of that deal. And over time, even the queen, this same queen who tried so hard to keep her son all to herself, actually grew to love her clever new daughter-in-law. But what was the real secret here? How on earth did she pass a test that was literally designed to be failed? Was she really that royally sensitive? Nah. The truth is, her win had nothing to do with being delicate. It was all about her brain. She was just smarter than the test. And that was a little secret she wisely and very happily kept all to herself, which, let's be honest, was probably for the best.